Tonight, I have joining me to give some insight on what to do, what the parties need to do, what they are doing, and perhaps what they are not taking cognizance of. Is the INEC National Commissioner on Voter Education and Publicity, Mr. Festus Okoye. He joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for joining us tonight. Let me get it straight. This week is a critical week for our election, especially for 2023 election, the primaries, the delegate election, and the congresses that will lead into the major election of candidates and the flag bearers for the different political parties. For example, the PDP is holding its primary today, the House of Reps primary. Give us an understanding if there's been substantial adherence to the rules that have been provided by INEC.
Well, I think there has been substantial compliance with the rules of engagement, so to say. This period is a learning curve for all the political parties and all the critical stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission. Because as we are aware, the National Assembly made fundamental changes to the electoral legal framework. And this electoral legal framework, which is the Electoral Act 2022, is being tested for the first time under this particular dispensation. So it's a learning period for everybody. But the political parties are adhering to the rules of engagement. All the political parties, all the 18 registered political parties, complied with Section 82 of the Electoral Act in relation to giving the statutory and compulsory and mandatory notice for their congresses, their conventions, and for their primaries, and that is very good. The political parties are also conducting their congresses to elect their delegates. I know some of them have even conducted their primaries, and their candidates for state assembly elections, House of Representatives, and senatorial elections have already emerged. So I think that there has been substantial compliance by the political parties with the constitutional requirements, the Electoral Act requirements, and the rules and regulations designed and put out by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
There is a fundamental issue here, and of course, we're covering most of those primaries here at China's Television, keeping tabs on what is happening. Is INEC required to be at every of the Congress leading? Because now we understand, oh dear, I can see that the power is out where you are, but if you can hear me, and look, is INEC required to be present, physically present, at every of the primaries, one, and all the election leading into the selection of delegates for the major primaries?
Well, based on the provisions of the Constitution and based on the powers conferred on the Commission by the Constitution, we are constitutionally required to monitor the conduct of elections. Secondly, under the Section 82 of the Electoral Act and under Section 84 of the Electoral Act, we are also bound by the law to monitor the primaries, conventions, and congresses of political parties. But if the political parties give us the requisite a notice and we fail to monitor, then the political party can go ahead with their congresses, with their conventions, and so on. But if they do not give us the requisite notice and they proceed to organize any form of congress or any convention or any primaries where elections will take place, then whatever they have done is completely invalid. So that is the position of the law.
So INEC has to be physically present not only in the Congress, but also at the primaries. Now, what then happens if there is a change of location? Are they mandated to also use the same location, to have a location that is stipulated in the notice?
Well, one of the things that the new electoral legal framework has done is to prevent political parties from engaging in what I call electoral ambush. In which case, some political parties will indicate that their primaries will take place at a particular location and they will move it to a different location. That era is over. What our guidelines requires is that if a political party is going to conduct primaries to elect its candidates, that particular political party must tell us the venue where the primaries will take place, or the venue where the venues where the Congress will take place. Secondly, if the political party is going to change venue, that particular political party must give us 7 days notice of its intention to move the primaries from one venue to the other, or from one location to the other. If they also need to change the dates they had given the commission, they must also give us 7 days notice of their intention to change the date. And so the requirements are very, very clear. The requirements are clear under the Constitution. The requirements are clear under the Electoral Act. And the requirements are clear under our rules and regulations guiding the conduct of party primaries and also guiding the conduct of elections.
Great. I was going to ask you, you've said the consequence that it's nullified the process if the location is not adhered to. Because the argument that we're seeing and the controversy that have come up is some group in the different political parties are saying, look, the Congress is the location where it's moved and all of that. But it's clear that what you have laid down tonight. But before we allow you to go, Mr. Okoye, if you can clarify for us, this issue of statutory delegate, the numbers of people who are going to be up for the primaries, what is the implication if those statutory delegates or elected delegates are wrongly elected for the primaries? Does it in any way nullify or void the primary?
Well, I think the political parties are really advised to read the Electoral Act very carefully, and also to get their legal advisors and persons with legal knowledge to interpret some of the provisions for them. The law is very clear that the delegates must be elected democratically. And being elected democratically means that the processes and the rules and regulations guiding the conduct of primaries, guiding the election of delegates must be complied with. Every registered political party has its own processes and procedures on how to organize its delegates election. That is within their own domestic realm. But whatever they do, they must at all times be in consonance with the Electoral Act and also be in consonance with the provisions of the law relating to the election of delegates. Now, if you also look at the law, it is very clear that every registered political party must that is conducting party primaries must abide by the provisions of the Electoral Act, and that if any political party does not conform to and enforce the provisions of the Electoral Act, his candidate for that particular election or his candidate for that particular position will not be accepted in the election. In other words, if they don't comply or if they breach or violate the provisions of the law and the Constitution in relation to the election of their delegates and also in relation to the conduct of their primaries, they will not have valid candidates to submit to the Independent National Electoral Commission when the time for submission comes.
It's good for us. The reason why we invited you tonight is we know how critical this week will be for the different political parties, and it's good to lay the rules down so that parties will not say that they're not well informed, and that's why we wanted to bring you to the program tonight, at least to clarify those controversies that have generated in the past days. I see that there's a power outage twice now within the last 10 minutes that you've been on the program. How prepared is INEC for this kind of situation? Should there be power outage? Your device is ready. Are they tested as a foolproof for this kind of challenge?
Well, maybe the Commission will very soon begin to generate its own power. So you can never tell.
But are your devices, the accreditation and the voting devices, are they ready for this kind of situation? Because I'm not sure how many places in the nation can guarantee up to 20 hours of power supply during the election. Are you ready for this kind of situation where there may not be power? How long can the devices last?
To Abivas, the device has a storage capacity of 20 hours of power. So we don't have a challenge with that. And also in relation to our registration areas, we have generating cells in the 8,809 registration areas and in the 774 local government areas. So in terms of power outage, we won't have any challenge in terms of our processes and our procedures.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for your time tonight. And I'm very sure that the different political parties are now clearly briefed about the rules of engagement, because we are monitoring also, as much as the section 82 and 83 is saying that they must notify INEC and INEC must monitor all of these processes. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, for coming on tonight. I guess it will save them a lot of what we have done tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.